Conversations with Azu Ishiekwene.
Hello and welcome to Conversations with Azu. It's about a very, 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 very interesting topic today. But first of all, I'd like to introduce the man who makes all the conversations.
Good evening, Azu. It's nice to be back here. Thank you.
Yeah. It's actually Conversations with Azu and as assisted by Azuka. So Azu has a nice ring to it. You look good.
Thank you very much. And so do you.
It seems like the situation of the country is not affected.
Well, I guess that, no, you are not correct. I think we all have found ways, we have improvised ways to survive. So if it looks like it's not affecting me, that's credit to my sense of improvisation.
I need to improvise better. Well,
thanks.
Because of the situation of the country, we wouldn't blame the president for, like as you say, begging for a seat at the table.
Well, that's entirely different level, isn't it? I believe that is a reference to the title of my article for this week, which was a reflection of the meeting at the G-20 meeting in India, in Delhi, India, where Nigeria and members of the G-20 and other countries were invited. And of course, after that meeting, there was this conversation about whether Nigeria deserved to have a place as a permanent member of the G20 instead of always turning up there on a complimentary ticket, if you like.
I read that part. Yes. Okay, so you did mention the fact that our president has a lot of plans and hope for Nigeria. And we all know that part of the reasons why heads of states attend this kind of event is to lure foreign investors, image laundering for the country, as other people would say. But I think the major conversation now is a lot of people are saying, how do you go to these kind of meetings, bearing in mind that we have a lot of problems down here? Just a few moments ago when we were discussing, we were talking about the NLC strike, the Forex crisis, and generally the standing of Nigeria in the international space right now. Do you think it's a really good time? Do you think it's necessary? Because in all honesty, we know that a lot of these things are, did I say PR purposes now?
Well, as they say, I remember the popular Nigerian song, pardon my use of, but that's trouble, not the finish. So you should enjoy yourself. But that's just by the way. The point is that every country would normally have problems, domestic problems. The US is potentially confronting a shutdown of the government if things are not done quickly. So my argument for why Nigeria should not, to use the phrase in that article again, beg for a seat, is not necessarily because Nigeria is facing some domestic crisis, a number of which you have mentioned. It's more because your power on the international stage, or how you are respected and or the influence you wield, is usually a reflection of the state of affairs. It's usually also a reflection of your domestic power. That is what projects you and earns you, if you like, a seat on the international stage. You remember there was a time on this continent where Nigeria was, maybe we still are so referred to as the giant, Africa's big brother, and all of that, as a giant of, and all of that, especially in the days of apartheid and all of that. We had problems. It doesn't mean that Nigeria did not have domestic problems at that time. But because of the way we were organized internally, we were able to organize, we were able to project that image of strength, of authority, which made countries, both in the continent and outside, take us a bit seriously. I think that's really what I was trying to put across in that piece, that, it's okay for Nigeria. I mean, after all, South Africa, Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa. And South Africa, which is the second biggest economy, is also and has been a member of the G20 for many years now. And of course, AU has also become an institutional member of the G20. So if South Africa, which is the second largest economy in Africa, has a seat at the table, and a permanent one at that, then of course Nigeria will feel, and the president will naturally feel hard done by for Nigeria to always turn up on the complimentary ticket. But it is not just, you don't turn up there because you feel entitled or because you covet it. You have to earn it. That's just precisely.
So how do you think Nigeria can earn it?
So I think Nigeria can earn it by dealing with a number of the domestic problems that we're facing currently, which will, of course, help project up. And I would just mention a number of them. For example, we've been all following what is happening in the so-called coup belt, where about 5 or 6 countries in the last 2 or 3 years have been toppled, have been taken over by military governments. And it is not, I'm not saying it is Nigeria's fault or it is the fault of the current president that has happened. But that really is a challenge to our place and authority. Also, there are parts of this country that are significantly under the influence of insurgency, and that is not a matter to be taken lightly. You cannot appear on the international stage with the level of insurgency and banditry and kidnapping that we are facing, and expect to be taken seriously. Also, in spite of the general macroeconomic, positive macroeconomic prospects, but fundamentally there are problems with this economy, which we need to deal with. In a country that has 133 million people who are under multidimensional poverty, is one that really needs to look itself in the mirror and ask itself whether it shouldn't really be getting its act right at home as a basis of projecting strength on the global stage.
And that's a conversation a lot of people have had. Yes. We're more concerned about the PR, the impression a lot of people have about us outside Nigeria than actually doing what we think is right. But in all honesty, I'm sure you would agree that you can't really blame the president for trying to do what he's trying to do.
No, it is not a question of who to blame. It's one of responsibility. As he also has said himself, this was not a position that he craved this position, and it's one that he worked very hard for over the years. So I do not assume that he does not understand what he's gone in for. But the question and unfortunately for him, this is actually coming at a time of what they call a perfect storm. So many things, seem to happening all at once. But I think it's also a measure of the quality of his leadership, how he's able to rise to the occasion. That's also a test of leadership. It's not when everything seems to be going well and you are coasting along. It's actually when you are challenged that the measure of what you can offer as a leader is tested, and that's when you prove your mettle.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we should expect another banger now.
Well, expect another banger. I'm not too sure what a banger is.
Well, I'm going to call
you remember that after the G-20, he also went over to the United Nations General Assembly, 78th, and his speech on that global stage has been well applauded. But I think we all may agree that it's now time, I suppose, to walk the talk.
Okay. Thank you so much for dropping interesting pieces. Now, in hindsight, I think I'll call you a prophet. You remember the last episode where we talked about the
fate of some prophets?
And in all honesty, immediately I saw the video of the deputy governor of Edo State outside his office on the phone call, and I said, "Oh, isolation center."
Oh yes.
If you didn't see that one,
it was a public health risk.
So serious risk.
Well, that's just by the way. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's been Conversations with Azu. You can also catch us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Follow, like, and share at Azu Ishiekwene. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Conversations with Azu Ishiekwene.